we have gun end. You guys already know what that is. It's the little empty object that's at the end of the gun here. Right here. That's the gun end. And then lastly, we have the animation. The animator that controls the animations on here, like firing and reloading. And then we have our masks, which is simply what objects should we be hitting when we fire a raycast. We should be hitting hitboxes. So that's why hitbox is the only one thing selected there. So that was kind of quick. Or no, that actually was not quick. Never mind. That was about 21 minutes. Oof. Well, it's okay. I hope you guys at least understood this one. I just took a look at the recording there. I don't know if you guys saw it or not when I went up on there, but yeah. That I didn't expect things to get that long. So before I go into game, I just want to do one last thing. Is I want to explain one little cool thing that I finally added that is going to make it so much easier to debug, test things, and to be able to know, or not know, but to be given more player feedback. What this is it is damage indicators. If I go to UI, here we go. So here's our damage indicator stuff. Now let me actually go to my hitbox. Hitbox. Okay, so you guys remember? Actually, no, I forgot. I completely forgot. I redid. Okay, you know what? That was my bad. I was about to say, do you guys remember this? Of course, you guys don't remember this. I did this update. I changed the whole hitbox and damage system this update. I completely forgot to mention that. Okay, so how this works is I completely rebuilt the hitboxes. One thing you'll notice is that there's only one body hitbox, this green object, and then I have my head hitbox. Where is it? Right here, head hitbox. And you can see, I know it's hard to see with the camera thing icon there, but there, if you look at it, it's not completely centered. There we go. Okay, that looks a little better. Yeah, you can see this is the head hitbox. So how the hitbox system works is that I grab the player. I did not mean to click off that. You grab the player, and I can do some interesting stuff with this. So it needs one thing, and you need to drag in a player for it. And then lastly, you need to be able to check one of these things or none of these things. Pretty much, if it's a crit box, that means that it's a box that's a critical area, and a damage multiplier should be applied when hit. AoE catcher means this should be allowed to catch AoE damage. And is dummy is for testing. And these are, if I click these, you notice is dummy. So it lets me be able to just view these damage values. And if is dummy is checked, it doesn't need a player at all. Player does not need to be connected to it. So what does this mean? What this means is when I fire at hitboxes, it creates pop-up text that shows me the damage I have dealt to it. And it has some really cool, unique little things. And I'm going to go in and show you guys in a bit. But let me do one last thing before I really show off everything and put everything in action. Is that I need to show you guys my new sidearm, which I think you're going to love, which is Explosion Grenade. Let me drag it out. So, this is the new model I made for it. It looks kind of high-tech, and it also looks like an artifact, and that's kind of what I'm going for. Don't worry about the colors and shaders. Obviously, I didn't do them, really. I just colored them in Blender because I was getting that really interesting idea of how I can make this look. So, the Explosion Grenade is the only sidearm in the game currently. I deleted any of the older stuff in the game. It just wasn't where I wanted it to be. It was bad, and this is much better. So, what this is a grenade. And you can throw it out. It has physics and all of these things. And if I were to select, I think I have to open prefab. Okay, so yeah, if I open the prefab real quick, you'll see that it has its own brand new stuff. And this is how I'm handling grenades currently. So grenades have a force that you throw away from you. Lob force is how high it's thrown. Align force is just to make sure that it hits at the center of the camera properly, so it's aimed. And physics force is really fun. Physics force is what allows the explosion to affect objects and blow them apart with explosion force, so it looks really nice. Then we have damage. Damage has fall off. So we have the size of the epicenter of the explosion. If you're in this epicenter, it deals maximum damage of 100. The least ineffective damage you can do is 75. We have fall off strength here. Again, you guys know how fall off works in my game. It works a little bit differently when it comes to how this is working. It's a little more different because I'm dealing with kind of a different physics class, but don't worry about it. It works pretty much the same. Explosion, which is the start time fuse, which obviously is time to explode. Then we have the explosion radius. I said that wrong. I said radius. I meant radius. And then hitbox is whatever we should be hitting. And then I have this for some other checks here. Don't worry about that. And then I have the item, which is my actual model of the weapon. And then I have one nice little cool thing here, which is sidearm stats, which is like its helper script. Remember how the weapon had a helper script? Well, sidearms in my game also do on a system level. So as you can see, it has health. Doesn't have any armor, doesn't have any shield, but it has health. And this means is it can be destroyed if shot enough, which is really cool. And you can force an explosion out early because of this. And it's pretty good implementation is what I meant to say before I messed up my words there. Okay, so let me go ahead and delete this and delete this. Nope, I didn't want to do that. Delete that. So now we're gonna start the game. Okay, guys, we're now in the game. So as you can see, things look different. Things look much different. So one thing I think you guys shouldn't worry about too much is how the UI is a bit off in its position and its ratio. Don't worry about that. It's just don't worry about that, okay? Don't worry about that one thing. It just wasn't important. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna show off how weapons work right now, currently in combat. So one thing you shouldn't worry about too, I'd say, is the animations. Obviously, if I press A and D, it's kind of funny how you can kind of do that. But okay, here's the thing. We can press the left mouse button to fire, and you can see when I fire, I do see the camera jerk back. And you see how I return back to the center when I fire, or sorry, stop firing. So if I keep firing, you can see the crosshair is big, and then I reduce it. Now it's nothing. You can see how that works. You can also see what I meant by the tracer particles. The tracer particles is just a graphics effects. It's not at all doing anything. It's just for visual flair, so you know where your bullets are going. And you can see that the recoil system is working, not just because you see the bullet holes, but also because you can see how the tracer is moving and how it's moving left and right or up and down a little bit. And of course, I can always increase the amount of recoil, because again, you guys already saw the values. You see it's very easy to do it. I can go into scope. You can see when I scope in, I can have the FOV zoom in, and of course I might actually increase how fast we're zooming in. I think I'd like it to be a little bit quicker than this. But you can see when I do that, the crosshair goes away. Of course, the crosshair responds to our recoil as well properly. And you can see when I was talking about the scope position, how the arms are physically moving to the center. They actually really are being physically adjusted. So that is what that value is for. And you can see if I fire through this, far more accurate. Look at that. Look how small that is compared to this. See that? It's much tighter. So you can really have excellent accuracy firing. And even though the bloom is random, the bloom is controlled randomness. I really want to be careful of not making bloom so ridiculous that it makes your gun super inaccurate and frustrating to use. I don't want that. So I will probably make most of the weapons in my game fairly accurate. There might be some exceptions to that rule, but still, you guys kind of know what I mean. You guys kind of understand. And that's generally how this weapon works. But before I go into the grenade or other stuff, I'd like to also show you the fact that I have the damage indication systems working. So if I fire, you see that. Look at that. 30, 30, 30, 30. So you can see, and also too, I have to reload. It doesn't give me my ammo until the animation finishes. You may notice that too. Also, you may notice that it's also off. I was not fully holding it during the animation. Don't worry about that. That's just bad animation on my part. And it's fine. Don't worry. I can always make it look much better so it looks right. Visually correct. So, as I get further, you'll notice I'm taking fall-off damage. And you can see how that is working out. As further as I go off, the damage numbers are dropping. And the lowest number, for those who remember, was 20. So I will not get any less than 20 now. And if I keep firing... Okay, so here I got 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 30. Okay, I skipped 27, 28, 29 because of how the fact that if you're within 30, it will always snap to 30. So that's how that kind of works, as you guys can kind of see. I'm going to try and improve that a little bit so this curve is smoother. But I think this is a very good beginning for me to get it even smoother. So this is how that's working. I think that's pretty much all the weapon, gun stuff. Overall, it feels really good. I like the little things. You can see the flash. The early idea of how flash will be implemented and things like that. And the cute little bullet holes. That's kind of also too, if you notice, they're also rotated randomly. You notice they're not completely identical every time. They do rotate. And they do curve to the environment of the world. If I fire that, you can see it does, I believe, conform. This has a hitbox around it, so that's why you see it like that, but, you know, obviously that makes sense. So, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show off the fact that we have grenades. So if I press G, I can throw a grenade. Now don't worry about the animation again, like I said, but if it blows up, you see it pushed, and it did 100 damage too. Now let me see if I can actually get it to do a little less by allowing it to not be so close in the epicenter. See, will that hit it? 75. Look at that. It got 75. And here's another cool thing to do to note too. We can take self damage currently. Actually, that's probably not a good idea to do that. Let me shoot at it. There we go. I blew it up. So, also too, you notice the numbers were different because it was a different kind of object being damaged. So one thing I want to notice, or want you guys to notice, if I throw the grenade, it blows up. I take damage. You notice my blue bar, which is my shield bar, took damage. One thing to note is that I actually added proper physics explosions. So what this means is if I were to throw this right here and then get behind the wall and it blows up, I did not take any damage. So now explosions respect the environment itself. So if you throw this here, I go right here, I didn't take any damage, and it's gone. See? I didn't take any damage. But if I stood here, oh, don't worry about that. That is actually a bug at the moment. Sometimes it does go through the world. But if I'm in front of it, I take the damage. And just to let you guys know, the range on it is pretty decent. I think I get hit even up here. Yeah, I took damage even here. Do I take damage here, too? Because then that's way too big. No, I didn't take damage. Okay, cool. So yeah, you can see. That's kind of how it works. I also did redo the animations for the hands. For the pistols too, just to let you guys know. New wall running animations I think look really nice. You notice that when you wall run, your recoil increases. One thing I like to point out that there is a limitation right now in this build because I did not make an animation for you to fire while wall sprinting. So you cannot fire while wall sprinting right now. Do not worry. That will not be a thing. You will be able to fire during that. You'll be able to fire during slides as well. Slides have an animation, of course, too. You will be able to do all of those things. Don't worry. It's just not in this build. Why? Because I didn't make an animation for it. And it doesn't have to be there to prove my concept. It works, and it works pretty good. I can add those little extra tidbits to make the game better, obviously. It just wasn't the most pressing matter. The most pressing matter was getting this recoil system to work properly. And it works really well. And I think it looks really good. So, I showed you guys how this has physics. I'll push it, which is pretty cool. And it has fall-off damage. You saw I did 88 there. And obviously if I get as close as possible, I believe I should do 100. 95, dang it. I don't know how I got it so perfect last time. I should probably make the epicenter bigger so that you get that 100 maybe there. Yay, 100 damage. Look at that, I got it. So yeah, I probably should make the epicenter check to be a bigger radius, so that if it's in that radius, it will blow up, which is funny because I'm a rigid body too, like this, it'll act crazy if I jump on it, which is kind of funny. But that's generally how that's all working. You guys can see how the UI is working. One thing to note too is that if I fire this weapon and I switch my weapon, and then I fire this one, let's fire it to 4. You can see when I switch them, and because it's the same weapon, guys, you won't really see the hand switching, but it is switching. You notice how the ammunition is saved. Okay, like I said before, every weapon needs to be able to carry over ammo, just like any FPS. So yeah, you guys can kind of see all the work being done. What else can I show you guys? I did explain the hitboxes. I showed you guys the damage indicators. Hey guys, I wanted to come in with this update little thing in post. I forgot to show you guys one thing, which is weapon swaying. It's really light right now. If I just buff this and I just go to this, I open the prefab, and then I go to here, and then I go to say something ridiculous like 0.1. It's gonna be ridiculous at that level. But you'll see. I said that wrong. You'll actually see what I'm talking about. So look, if I move, see what I'm talking about? How it adjusts. I put it to a ridiculous amount, so it's never even supposed to be this crazy. But this gives you an idea of what I'm talking about. This is weapon swaying. It just allows your arms and hands to smooth back to its original position. So that's all that is. That's all I wanted to show you guys. That's one thing I didn't really point out, and I felt bad for not pointing that out as I was editing. So yeah, that's what this is. I wanted to put this at the end. And back to the video, and thanks guys for watching. But I hope you guys did enjoy this. This was a big important update, because now I can worry about everything else in the game. I can worry about how things visually look. Everything is going to be improving. But one thing I do want to say is that updates for this game for a little while is going to be slower, because when you redesign things, you really have to sit down and take time to make sure things look as good as possible. And especially when I'm going to be rigging and animating everything. The only thing I will say that won't be looking the best is animations. I'll do my absolute best, but animations take so much time. There's so many of them you have to make, and I'm not the greatest animator in the world. I know that for certain. So that's the one thing I think won't be at the highest caliber, but I will try my best to make a game visually look amazing. So if you guys enjoyed this, I hope you guys could subscribe, share this with everyone and anyone you know who's interested in gaming or game development. I'm just a single indie game developer, just trying to do a one-man's job that an army should be doing. But you know, I still love what I do, and this is why I do it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Next week, I will probably start really delving into everything else other than the game's development. We're going to be talking about the elements of the game itself. I haven't gone into that. We're going to go into complete depth with it. Every video is going to have a 100% dive into what I want the game to be like in each mechanic. We're going to go deep into it. And that may sound a little complicated, but there's a lot of stuff to talk about with that. And we're going to go through all of them. And we're also going to talk about the storyline. There's a lot of crazy stuff happening in the story right now that I've been writing about, that I've been adding into. And this is going to take the into a unique perspective, because the fact that this is going to be a different kind of FPS. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I know this was long, but this was a long-awaited video. I put a ton of work into this. I worked 2 weeks straight, all the way up until around 4 to 5 a.m. every day for about a little more than 2 weeks. I worked hard on this, and I was really determined to get this to be where it needed to be. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you guys have a great day. My links are in the description. I will also do an update about this on IndieDB as a blog, going into deeper some other stuff. And yeah, next video next week. I'll see you guys later. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Please share this, and I'll see you guys later in the next video.